Rakat love, I see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Father's peace and blessings be upon you. Goes to you and everyone who comes to the party. Just started. It is time for a party. Today's party is called I Don't Have a Job, Yet I Work Every Day. It's a rainy day where I am. My signal's been acting a little funny too, so I'm doing this pop-up live just in case I'm not able to come on later on. Normally we come on 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about ethics and entrepreneurship. And like I said, today is raining, so I don't know if I'll be able to do the actual casting on YouTube. I use YouTube because whenever it records my live broadcast, it also saves it in a profile list or a playlist all to itself. I can actually save and download the lives from here, however, you don't have access to them. And the thing about TikTok is you can do a 1-minute video with your own sound, or you could do a 3-minute video, 10 minutes tops. I don't have any cares to actually break all of it down that way. Apple user 45435, I see you. Swayze 9, I see you. Passion Fruit Sue, I see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your families, and your circles. Recently, we've been doing some studies. I have a mission. My mission is to come before you daily and remind you of Asher and the day of Ashura. Now, what is Asher? They say that there were 12 brothers who were part of a family who made a nation. They were the children of Yahashariah. So I'm supposed to come before you every day to remind you that one of those brothers was named Asher. And I went and did some studying. You know, most people do want to tell you about the particular name and what it means. You know, because if you have a name, you have a shem, you have authority. Well, the thing is, Asher by name means I'm happy. So, how can you responsibly provide service for your nation just by going around saying I'm happy? So I dug deeper. If you go into Joshua and other parts of the Bible, you'll find places where they tell you each of the 12 brothers were told to set the tents of their families in certain places once they got to the promised land, according to where they were marching in formation when they left Kemet to go to the promised land. So once they made it to the land of Canaan, or others would call it Canaan, the brother Asher was told to set his tents in a certain location. The other brothers were told to set their tents surrounding Asher, not saying that Asher was listed first, because basically each of them were told the same thing. When you were marching in formation, this is the place where you were marching in formation, so this is going to be where you will set up your fortifications, your cities, your lands. Some people have fan clubs. I don't have a fan club. It's not meant for fans. Fans are fanatics. If you need somebody to cool you off, right? A fan. It's not for fans. Hilla Branch 2.0, I see you. Hashem Yahav Elohim, Shalom Barak, Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. Thank you for being here. Familiar face. It's very tabah to see you. So as I was saying, we've been doing some studying because I wanted to know about the mercantile. If there's going to be a nation, if there's going to be a kingdom, there has to be a gross national product. You don't get to just jump up and say, oh, I live my life for Yahweh. Okay, well, what are you doing in your life that signifies that you live and work for Yahweh? Subhanahu wa ta'ala, our source of sustenance and mercy. We usually get together 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about ethics and entrepreneurship. However, today I don't know what my signal is going to do in the next 3 hours. So we can spend those 2 hours here. And if necessary, I will go back and repeat it on YouTube. Today on the Greco-Roman calendar, they call it Sunday. According to our schedule, we have 10 special interest groups that we talk about. Each have their own days. We go live daily, Sunday through Friday. Shabbat is reserved. There are other people that get up and talk during Shabbat, and I sit back because it's time for me to take notes. It's not the only day that I take notes. I'm watching and taking notes every day. Marsha, I see you. Hashem Yahav Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you. Welcome to Nomad Studios. We're having a party. Today's party is called I Don't Have a Job, Yet I Work Daily. I keep having these people approach me asking me, do I believe that I will go to heaven just because Jesus died on the cross and saved me from my sins? And I look at them and I shake my head, no. Because of most of what they said in that question, I have to disagree with. Whether it's the name you use or the pretense you're talking about. I don't get to go to heaven and stay there just because of some person came along before me and died, and then I confessed that that person died. No. And then I live my life in the name of that person. Okay. If you want to pose that question to me, let's break that question down. In the name, in the Shem. If you spell Jesus as a name and that's your savior, then we've already come to a division. I walk with the standards of Yahweh Elohim. My guidance is Ravak HaKadesh, and my example in life is Yahashua HaMashiach. Now let's open up this party and get it started right. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. We seek the protection of our Father against Shaitan and his evil ways while we walk the divine path. We're traveling and we will observe Zuhr with 2 rak'ah, seeking to be near the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For every step that we take towards Allah, Allah will take 1,000 towards us. That's how far away we are. When you're counting 1,500 to 5,000 steps in a day, how many of those steps are going towards service in the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam walid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Sami Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Allahu Akbar. Rabbi Shfirli wa Rahmani wa Shbarni wa Fani wa Zubni wa Dini wa Fini. Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kul a'udhu birabbil falak min sharri ma khalaq wa min sharri ghasikin idha waqab wa min sharri nafathati fil 'uqad wa min sharri hasadin idha hasad. Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Sami Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Allahu Akbar. Rabbi Shfirli wa Rahmani wa Shbarni wa Fani wa Zukni wa Dini wa Fini. Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Allahu Akbar. Atayyatu lillahi wa salawatu wa tayyibatu. Assalamu alaikum ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayna wa ala birrihi salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Insha'Allah, Ya Allah, Yubarik alima wa sahaba. Alhamdulillah, Shukranallah, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Ameen. It is said that when we pass away, we will have our moment to go and speak with our Creator, and our Creator will ask you, have you heard Al-Fatiha? If you've been listening, yes, you have. I invite you to go visit Quran.com, Quran.com, Quran.com. You will find all of the surah there. Al-Fatiha is the first surah. You've heard me speaking in Farsi. I was doing prayer. That was 2 rak'ah. That means 2 different sections. To actually go through the whole prostrations, to go through namaz when I'm observing zuhr, which is midday prayer, I would do 4 rak'ah. However, I am not in a place for me to be bowing and kneeling. Minister Stephen, Minister Morel, I see you both. It's very tabah to have you here. Hashem Yahav Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your families, and your circles. We're about to get this party started. I'm put the word out. I'm running short on supplies right now. This handy dandy device is an add-on to the studio. $15.99. This costs 10% of what was sent to me to help me out with supplies as of last week. I don't do this to get on here to have a warm, fuzzy moment with people. I don't do this to tell you, oh, everything is going to be all right. I do this because this is my work. You might see me for a couple of hours out of the day. However, as soon as I open my eyes, first thought in my mind is, I come from Allah. I shall return to Allah. May Allah be pleased when I return. Prayer. Salah. Start of the day. Now that means from then until I've completed some kind of task that pleases Allah, I have to walk along with that until that gets done. And then I can say, Tada Abba, because Abba took me that far. Our Father took me that far. So now I can say, thank you, Alhamdulillah. All praises to our Father. Then it's time to pray again, because it's time for the next task. If nobody's told you, there's 3 parts to a prayer. You think about it. You say it. And then you go do it. You live it. You put in work. You don't stand around and say, oh, I approve the message of so-and-so. No, your message is your own actions. Not I'm thinking about it. Not I'm going to do it. No, here's a list of what I did. And here's a list of what I'm about to do. Tam Bam, I see you. Hashem Yahav Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. Pardon me, I'm working with the other device. See, we've been doing a series. They don't like it when we use certain terms and when we become focused. When we use anava and we show how humble we really are. No, they don't like that. They don't like when we play with their toys. Now ask me if I care. Question of the day. So as I was saying, we've been doing a series, and I've been presenting it on YouTube because normally I would do a multi-stream. I use one device for YouTube and one device for TikTok. That way I can see what's going on in the comment section. I have an app that I use called Restream. When I use that app, I can put YouTube and TikTok on the same device and use my other device if I want to do other things, like play music or whatever. Like there's plans in the future. Adon willing, the camera will be on and you can see me tappity tapping on the screen, and I can show you how to do an improv beat. Make your own instrumental, edit a video, post it up around 10 different places so that you can promote yourself. I don't got time for all that. I don't see why not. I do it every day. What time is it now? What if I told you I've already gone around the world without physically going anywhere? I think I may have walked 1.5 miles and was tappity tapping on the screen the whole time. Welcome to Nomad Studios. And yes, I need supplies in order to keep this going. There's a phone bill. There's a me bill. All right. Why do I represent Highest Heights Studio? Because I'm the sole proprietor of Highest Heights Studio. Judah Stallworth, I see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum. Wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. We've been doing a series talking about the responsibilities of the different sections of the family of Yahashara'el. We've covered Asher, we covered Dan, and we covered Naphtali. Next up is Reuben. Along with the information that I found out about what their different responsibilities was, I also found a list of the testaments of the 12 patriarchs, meaning each of those brothers gave their testament to their children and grandchildren prior to passing away. So not only did we get to find out what the service was, like Asher, for instance, and example, instance. Asher, they ran the ports. They were mariners. Now, they weren't Marines. They did have divers, but no, they didn't want to run and jump into war. That was not their thing. And then there's Dan. Dan, they were some nomads. Now, you've heard me say Farsi earlier. I was speaking in Farsi tongue. Well, Farsi means Persian. Now, nomad, when you hear somebody say Arab, or they're speaking Arabic, they're speaking a nomad language. There are many different types of nomads spread across the globe. Not all of them speak the same tongue. They don't look the same. They don't carry the same standards. Now, when the tents were set after they had traveled coming out of Kemet, you've got people who still carried traditions of Kemet as well as anywhere else, because Kemet at that time was a metro center. It was a city-state. It was a capital within a country that could sustain itself. City-state. And when the children of Yahashara'el left Kemet, they were going to establish their own city-state. You got one family, and everybody does something in order for there to be a community that is interdependent. Because once you can sustain yourself and have surplus, then there's other people that can be involved, whether you want to trade with them or hold your surplus in case of times of difficulty. And when you have a community set like that, then you've established trust. I'm a sole proprietor of a label called Highest Heights Studio. Most times when you hear somebody talking about a record label, that's it right there. It stops right there. I want to find the hottest artist and we're going to make $1 million and disappear. You're going to see us for about 2 years, and then after a tour, we're gone. All the time, we're just going to have people running around on the stage bragging about how much money they got. Then we're gone. No, that's not how this operation works. I'm already responsible for the distribution of 7 albums, 5 of them being my own. One coming from Ak Cole. He has his own label. It's called Cole Before Diamond. He has contributed an album called For Yahweh. That album has 8 tracks on it. I entreat you to go find that album on Bandcamp. I had to stop and think which one. Go to Bandcamp and download the album. $8. Support an artist. Now, when I tell you my supplies are low, I'm not telling you to send me $5 as a donation or $100 as a donation. That's great. Donations are accepted. However, I want you to know I work daily. How about I make a custom instrumental for you, or a song? Suggest a song. Or yes, I could make a custom instrumental, or I could make a custom video. You've seen my work. Well, that's what's coming just out of my head, what I'm thinking about. You ever wonder why I don't ever post up anything that looks like something that came out of your head? You never reached out and asked me. You ever wonder how to do so? Because I offer classes. You see, you could come up with one picture and say, I really like this picture. This picture talks about me. Mitchan Tassan. If I ever get your name right, that'll be between me and you. It's very tabah to have you here. Hashem Yahav Alahim Shalamat Barak. Allahu Wassalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you. So yeah, let's say you got this picture. And I'm not talking about, a selfie or whatever. We're not supposed to be that vain. Let's dig deep. Because we're rocking and rolling. We've been rocking and rolling since before the electric guitar. We've been rocking and rolling on boats. We were on boats before that boat nobody wants to talk about. We were rocking and rolling on boats, traveling, visiting, and casting nets. So that means I don't just stop in one port. TikTok is one port. Facebook is one port. YouTube is one port. Twitter, X, one port. I go to WordPress and drop off a blog. That drops off on LinkedIn and Tumblr. Then I go to the social world. Whoever I've forgotten, Pinterest. There's 9. That's just off the top of my head. You may have seen a picture posted by me today. Went to that many places. Along with whatever place you saw, it also went to those places too. So you got your favorite picture that describes you. You pay me $30, and I'm going to make sure that there's an alteration to the picture. But people are going to get to see you 30 different times in a 30-day span with a message talking about what it is that you do, what's your mission, how to contact you. You send me $30, I will do that for you. That's $1 per day of promotion. Someone ever tell you to buy a pack of business cards? Man, I'll give you 500 business cards for $60. And then you go pass out those business cards and you don't get $60 worth of business. You barely get 60 views of your card. When you pull out your card and you hand it to somebody, they say thank you, and they put it in their wallet or their pocket, and they're still looking you in the eye saying thank you. They ain't even looked at your card. Then they get to the house and they put it in a magnet on the refrigerator, or they put it in the utility drawer, or they didn't put it in their wallet, they just put it in their pocket. They got home and forgot, and it got washed. Buy a business card. How about I make a 1-minute video for you, a custom video describing you, your interests, and how to contact you. $1 per second. If you want a full minute, it's $60. You want 30 seconds, $30. Right now, the biggest trending thing is to have a short video, and you're gonna get a lot of views. One of the top views of a video that I've done in the last 28 days, 800 and something views, and it reached that in less than 48 hours. I just posted it less than 7 days ago. And it's talking about Kiwanis Park, the Rotary Club, and a young man who can do 3D printing without a whole bunch of glitz and glamour. Just here you go, here's the information. 800 and something views. Now you tell me, is 800 and something views worth $30 to $60? That's the service that I provide. Now, why does it cost? Because whatever your interest is, well, we're going to give it a name. And when you give it a name, we're going to assign it intellectual property. And then you copyright your intellectual property. Man, I can't do them copyrights. They cost too much. You can do a copyright for free. And it's actually registered, not just with the U.S. government. How about it's globally registered? Qom, Yahasharayel. Rise up out of it. Chizan. Revel, Yahasharayel. Lons, I see you. Kanatarala, I see you. There's a name in Farsi. I see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon all of you. Thank you for being here. Teda, Shukran, Ashante, Grazie, Gracias, Spasibo. Thank you all for being here. Yes, you can get your copyrights for free. Then on top of that, your voice, your words, your thoughts. When you have something recorded as an audio file, that can be registered. This is not about just musicians. If I record a track, if I record an instrumental for your 30-second, 60-second, 15-second video, whatever you want to do, when I record a track, that registered track will be copyrighted. And then it's also registered. It can have a UPC code registered under an album, and it can also have an ISRC code, which means that individual track is registered. That is how I was able to register the For Yahweh album for Brother Cole. He provided the tracks, I uploaded them to the distributor, and then things were made available. I got news for you. The label I was using, they cut the agreement. We've been cut since June 23rd. No problem. We weren't there for the royalties. You don't get paid much by royalties. If you really want to support someone, stop listening to these digital suggestions. Number one, oh, show some free support. Like and share and subscribe. Free. You think it's free to power up this device that I'm on to talk with you? You think it's free for me to use a signal to speak with you? You think it's free for me to actually walk around without passing out? Without putting some kind of sustenance in my body? You think it's free to think about serving Yahweh Elohim? Unfortunately, we do live in a world ran by the standard of capitalism. I've had people suggest that I go seek a shelter because they thought I was homeless. No, I'm not roaming. I'm a nomad. I'm not roaming around. I travel with purpose. Memorial de Mello, I see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. My Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. I'm not in this just for musicians. I'm a talent scout. Your talent is not, I run real fast, or I can throw a ball, or I can catch a ball. I don't ball, because when you fall, it hurts. The blood I've spilt is red, and my body is bruised blue, like a Smurf. Selah. We're doing an impromptu live right now, because normally I would be on YouTube 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I do an extension multicast to where at least I do come up on TikTok. However, today is a rainy day, and the signal is very doubtable. So we're rocking and rolling now instead of later. I may wind up just restarting again. Came to TikTok because y'all been missing. We're running through the list. Not just the name, not just the Shem when you want to say something about authority. We're going to talk about them 12 brothers in that one family who are the children of Yahasharael. And we want to find out, what's the mercantile? What was your contribution? What were you doing? This is not about your phenotype. This is not about which one you like. Selah. We've discussed Asher. We've discussed Dan. Yesterday we discussed, no, not yesterday, it was Friday, we discussed Naphtali. Yesterday I wasn't discussing nothing with nobody live. That's my day off. And as you all know, that don't mean I'm not going to do anything. I was posting. Once again, my supplies are running low. You can find me on PayPal, you can find me on Cash App, you can DM me straight here, or you can even use the phone number that's on this profile. There are no excuses. It's free for you to see my content. It is not free for me to live and exist. I need your support, because when you support me, we all can grow together. I may have a label called Highest Heights Studio. However, I'm trying to build a network. That means there has to be other people involved. We have to be solid. We have to be communicating with each other on a constant basis, not just to reach out, oh, hey, how you doing? No, we need to be talking about activities and doing those activities and showing up and saying, here you go. We spoke on Monday, and here's the results on Wednesday. Matter of fact, we spoke on Monday, and I got the results to you before you could even eat dinner. That's where we're supposed to be at. I've been asked, am I homeless? This is my response. Yehoshua was standing in front of the people and he was accused of saying that he was son of God. And can you repeat that? Yeah, he said he was a son of deity. He said he's a king. He said that. That's what we're accusing him of. Yehoshua. You say that? What do you think I am? What do you say I am? Oh, you son of man. And yeah, you walk with a king's stature and all of that. So when you want to try and accuse me of saying that I did anything and all of that, are you going to choose truth or are you just trying to accuse? We said that you said you son of God. Okay, we fine then. I'll stand in front of your accusation. Now let's rewind a little bit. We say you are son of man. The son of man has no home. Now who is son of man? Any child that walks under the standards of Adam. Now, why doesn't the Son of Man have a home? Well, you see, we're still waiting on this city called Yahweh is there. You'll find it in Ezekiel. You'll find it in Corinthians. You'll find it in Kings. Because all those books start telling you about how certain people will want to walk with the treasures of man. That's called mammon. And then you got those who want to walk with the standards of Yahweh Elohim. That is being halal. Halal Yahweh Elohim subhanahu wa ta'ala amin. 150 priests out there talking about, yeah, this is the way. And then there's one that says, no, it's not. Before Levites were thought of, there was already the order of Melchizedek. Ibrahim went and paid tribute to Melchizedek, and that's not just one person. He went and paid tribute because he was already part of the order of Melchizedek. He went and dropped off tribute after he done destroyed 7 different nations in the name of Yahweh Elohim, and said, those who come after me will not walk in those same paths as those polytheist evil ones. Write that down in your handy dandy notebook. Next time somebody run up on you, talk about I'm the tribe of so-and-so because I'm brown and I got a broad nose. Shut up. Cállate. Silencia. Selah. Hey, Lady J, I see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim Shalom Al Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum. Wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. I'm going to take a chill moment, play just a little bit of music, and then we're going to go into this party. Because I'm interested to find out what Brother Reuben was up to. See, at first I was just grabbing at names just off of what was in my head. But then I found that list of the 12 patriarchs talking about their testament. And it actually goes one for one. So since we've already done 3, we're going to go on and start at the top and work our way through. Tribe of Asher. They were mariners, sailors. Tribe of Dan, nomads. Didn't even really claim their territory. They had people living there and they lived with them. Tribe of Naphtali, clan of Naphtali, family of Naphtali, Naphthalim. Kind of uncertain what they did. They were merchants, they were traders, and so were the family of Dan. Now, this is all going on in the north, northeast, then over into the sea, to the Mediterranean. So that's all Northern Territory that we're running through at first. So we're going to go and look at Brother Benjamin, Benjamin, see what he's talking about. Told you we taking a Selah moment.
Ooh, this show the funky beat. Man, it's so funky, I need some deodorant. Take it away, Mr. TJ.
Here's a message to Fika, I wanna fight ya. Taking pieces out of my check, reverse piranha. Struggling me through hard knocks, trying to make me worship jocks. When I took my name from Peter Tosh, you can keep your cribbage, cricket, and squash. Don't try to dodge me, leave me dangling by your feet. From a Joshua tree by Job, didn't catch from the cradle, Bob Job. Hell yeah, Bob is too, that's the story you told. Working, drinking, clean, you taste yourself until our hair magic started out when we were children. Wanting plenty of golden green, so we cut growing green patches and cleaned on the weekend. Mumbling, it's so mean, but that's the only way to achieve your dreams. It seems you have to buy it. You can see that I'm free off, but sell certain percent off. Push up a sweat, so let me see what you bought. Fight the charges of the tax for working, but it's free to be lazy. So by popular definition, I wonder if like a has babies. I wanna find a CIA, I hear them dudes don't play. They been collecting files on my every move where I play and I stay. I have to watch what I say. My thoughts on Tuesday, held against me on Wednesday. Overpower winds, thundercloud, looming strategy, the urban panic from this planet. Always dispersonalized and C-O-N-S-P-I receipt. So why is it illegal for piracy? If it wasn't for my killing and dealing all legitimate, you wouldn't even focus in my direction. Bacterial virus that passed through detection. Dropped the paper weighted gave to that skin. Downsides and thinning you out like your scalp was on deck to trim. Like a big man on campus had a roast belittle. Like Swiss cheese and blue cheese. 10 caterpillars, some fruit trees. Creative destruction washed in fruit on a warm breeze. Wear my heart on a thin sleeve. Yet keep it in layers, soaking layers with its own artificial dark data players like it came from the tip. Sharp board, fun from pain. To give a quip from the lip whip. When you have nothing to bang the wall until it gives. That's why I wanna know where the FBI lives. Investigative terrorism to support materialism. Mad ass wanna ban crash. Just when I learned to sip wisdom. Like a skater that's skitching. I see the skirts are hitching. Making over citizens complete with the stitches. Make you wonder why we run around our own land, splitting wigs, getting greedy, causing sandstorms overseas. Justification for dirty education. Monkeys in suits and ties, paid to broadcast nationwide. Searching for libraries in disguise. Data casted across strata and terrain. On one to blanket the world, doing push-ups and sit-ups with my brain. Crushed quarters, tendinitis in my trapezius. Trains derailing wild, crossing borders, restrictive imaginary lines. I'm feeling tired, but you tell me not to order. I'm married hip-hop, you can't make me divorce her. And your daddy should have named you anti-choice. craven elf, sniping Triton armor. Fight for lore like a samurai in my neck bumps a Gemini perimeter elevator. Can't stand still on escalators. Keep track of my points like I'm do or die. Twisted enough, I'm full of Marcus and Garvey fluff. One swing with the gong, mix loud is tough enough. Bestseller pro, misusing tools, a rifle in a handbag, birds in the bush, three-man kush and cars, three-man Haitian, phonetically spreading fear, catapulting, debating, no cannon fodder like Jason, chopping up campers silly enough to swim Crystal Lake waters, grabbing serving order, the man locked himself in the tallest tower up, the city door, mind run amok with no dimensional hell left, stockpiles in the cellar to dwell, taking quail out of the falls, and fails, simplistically. Just another statistic on the news, infrequently, frequency changes to exchange dues. You get laid by getting paid, David and cop and smoky weed, getting paid, sorbet, and by the shade. Sucker land like animal and then throw a parade. Invent other crafts and rich in the slave. Every graph system can't be contained. What kind of apology do you give to the pain? Yeah, it's a message to fight. I want to find the CIA. Want to know where the FBI lives. I need to see the ATF.
Morena, bienvenido. Andrew Crawford, I see you. Cranford, my bad. My apologies. Andrew Cranford. We're actually alumni. Very about to have you all here. Hashem Yahav Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. Teda. Ashkuran. Spasibo. Grazie. Gracias. Ashante. Thank you for being here. We got a lot of work to do, family. Some of y'all like throwing a phrase out there, but let's be for real about it. I don't have a job. However, I work every day. What is your natural talent? And I'm not talking about singing and dancing. I'm not talking about throwing a ball. I'm not talking about running. There are some chefs out there. There's some painters. And I'm not talking about painting a picture. Somebody painted that wall. Then somebody came along, put some graffiti tags. Somebody else came along and painted that wall. Now, if I wanted to refurbish this place, there would be some sandblasting, possibly some priming before I actually went back and painted on it. I'd have to, because the steel has been exposed. Because yes, I'm a painter. It's one of my trades. If I wanted to hire a team, I should at least know what the team comes with. Because some people, instead of sandblasting it, they would power wash it. You can power wash your house. Put a little bleach in some water and wash down the siding and watch it come back looking brand new. Pull up to your house and I'll ask you, okay, well, what's the square footage that I'm supposed to be washing? Break out my calculator. Well, that's going to cost you this amount because I got to use this amount of water to spray that amount of area. It's going to take me about this long. Now, I don't really charge for the hour. That's not the case if I'm alone. Now, I might charge you for the hour because I brought my apprentice. My apprentice needs to be paid. So you're going to pay my apprentice by the hour. Now, for this service, it costs this. Now, if I wasn't bringing my apprentice along, then I would just be charging you a certain amount plus percentage. And then I'd also look at what the market price is compared to other sole proprietors who are painters or power washers. Because I'm an entrepreneur and I look for that kind of thing. And I'm also a talent scout, so I want to go and find who already has a team for painting. So when I get ready to remodel this car wash, I know who to contact. As a matter of fact, I'll make a song at the car wash. Who knows about Weird Al? 44 years ago, my young relative looked at me and called me Weird Al. So I have been Wired Owl for 44 years. Well, no, he was 5. Yeah, how does that go? Hold on, let me do the math right. He was 5. I wasn't 5. I was 14. I've been wired out for 35. If I was 14, yeah, I've been wired out for 35 years. Because back then I was making music. And it was similar to the stuff that people have heard. But I was putting my own touch to it. That's why he called me Weird Al. And when he sees me today, what's up, Weird Al? Because he even spoke like that when he was 5. Unlimited, I see you. Hashem Yahav Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. The Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you. We're coming close to the top of the hour, and it's about the time that I started. So it's not that I've been rambling on. I'll let you all know the purpose, why I'm here. Because yes, I'm here every day to remind the people about Ashur and the day of Ashura. Well, when is the day of Ashura? That's the day after Passover. Ach Musa, Allahu Salehi wa Salam. Father's peace be upon him, all prophets before and after him. Ach Musa, brother Musa, Moses, led the people from Kemet over to the land of Canaan, where they would actually be able to live and reside according to the tribute that was given to the order of Melchizedek. Now, when Brother Moses left Kemet, it wasn't under the best terms. The angel of death had to go across the major city and the rest of the nation in order to slow everybody else down while the family of Yahashua left. So it wasn't a day's journey ahead. They had from nightfall to about daybreak to get ahead. That's why the children of Yahashua were told, eat while standing and leave. Grab what you need and go. Well, after that night, they made it to the Sea of Reeds. They crossed over because the water receded. And by the time they had gotten over, Pharaoh had caught up with them. Pharaoh and his militia had caught up with them, and they were crossing the Sea of Reeds too. And by the time they got halfway, well, that water came back together and drowned them out. Remember the day of Asher. Because shortly after that, they all sat down and made camp. And the whole time, as Moses was looking over the people, he's watching people be unruly, not living according to standard. You mean to tell me I delivered you all away from Pharaoh and y'all just want to act like him anyway? Well, what you gonna do about it? What's the rules? Tell you what, I'll be back. I'm gonna go consult with Yahweh Elohim. And when I come back, the rules will be what they're supposed to be. Now, there were already the rules set before we left Kemet, before we were taken to Kemet. Matter of fact, they weren't taken to Kemet. They were hired to do jobs. They were doing administration. Some of them were masons, builders. Some of them were chefs. Some of them, their mercantile was textiles. They didn't get grabbed up and whipped along the road. No, they went to be hired. Because in the land where they were living, there wasn't a lot of sustenance. Barely enough to feed a family. Plus you got the rulers coming along saying you have to pay homage to us. But what about alms? Well, that's not our concern. Give me a moment, because now it's time for me to do the little puzzle slide thing. Nice little background. It's a rocky mountain hill looking thing. And I'm not talking about the mountain range. I'm talking about there's a big old giant rock in front of a lake. Pretty picture. Yellow, greenish timber. You can tell this is a huge rock. Refer to Gibraltar. Jabriel's altar. The rock of Gibraltar. Jabriel's altar. It's a very important place, by the way. A lot of things happen there. Michelle Moss, I see you. Winky, you came in earlier. I saw you. I was talking. Hashem Yahweh Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon all of you. Thank you all for being here. Studio maintenance. What does it take to have a nomad studio? You're walking around with a studio on you at all times. Your handy dandy device. Same thing that you use to call and talk with people. Well, that's called networking. Now, it depends on what your conversations are, what kind of networking you're doing, but yeah. When you are conversing with people, you are networking. When you're scrolling on platforms, other people are networking with you. Cole is in the building. Chokma Shloma. You all run out and support Brother Cole. I was telling you before about the For Yahweh album. He's in the building. Go to Bandcamp. Download For Yahweh. 8 songs. Dedicated for Yahweh. prayer, worship, meditation. One of the songs, just for listening. One of the songs is Psalms 1. Chokma Shaloma is a song. For Yahweh, it's 2 songs. Yeah, there's 8 of them. All these times that y'all keep uploading these videos and putting music in the background that's being suggested from the platforms, do you think that's paying Yahweh? Oh, but they're talking about it. The people, the music that you're playing in the background, do they know you? Do you know them? Because there are some actual musicians and artists within your assembly that you need to be supporting. I will say this again, royalties do not pay musicians and artists. The best way to make sure that they are actually eating is to make sure that you actually support them directly. And that is not, I'm gonna send you a $5 donation. That is, I want you to make a song for me and I'm gonna pay you for it. I want you to make me a video, I'll pay you for it. I want you to make a design. I want to put it on a shirt or something. Can you make a design for me? Reach out to people in your assembly and support them for real. Hey, I was just checking on you. That's false. If you checking on me, that means you really do want to know what's going on with me. Am I okay? What's going on with progress? What's the plan? And what's your own contribution to it? Because this is my livelihood. I don't do no 9 to 5. I don't partially go and serve Caesar and then go back and say, yeah, I serve Yahweh Elohim. No. From the moment my eyes open up to the shared reality that we have, to the moment I do finally get to close them and go to sleep for a minute, I am of service to Yahweh Elohim. And most times when I'm asleep, I'm still of service because I get lucid dreams that tell me messages still from Yahweh Elohim. Where I will be going, what I will be doing, in answer to a question that I fell asleep on. I'm interested in this research now. Since I found out about Usher, the next thing is I want to find out who was responsible for communications within the nation. Who made sure that everybody was in contact with each other? Everybody knows the story about the Levites. Oh, the Levites, they were the priests, and they did this, and they did that. It doesn't say they were responsible for communication. So that's my next thing. Who are the messengers? By definition, angel means messenger. I want to know who the messengers were. Because we know the breakdown of the cherubim and the seraphim. Cherubim were the warriors, responsible for maintaining protection of and against fire. Well, who were the seraphim? Well, they were the choir. They sang praises. Now, who are they? Who represents them? Because an angel ain't just somebody running around here with a nightgown and got wings coming out their back. No. I've had a lot of voices whisper in my ear, and every time I looked around, I never saw somebody in a gown with wings. I've had people tell me something. There was a question that I had when I left the house, and as I'm walking along, somebody stops me and says, blah, 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 blah. So, hey, that's the message. Shukran. Janu the Great, I see you. It's very tabah to have you here. Hashem Yahweh Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. So, here we go. Found out this information. And I found out the place to go. We've been visiting Bible Hub. BIBLEHUB. I do own a copy of the Bible. I do own a copy of the Quran. I do not take it out when I'm traveling because you get situations like this. Cloudy day, slightly rainy, and I'm halfway tempted to mosey on down to the park, which I may do in a little while. I'll have to check what the weather is doing and see how long this gap for the breaking rain will be. That's why I'm on here right now. Preliminary to the normal cast. Matter of fact, this will be ending around the time that we would normally broadcast, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to discuss ethics and entrepreneurship. We're doing a series. There's 12 brothers in Yahasharael, and we've seen the number get up to 14 because there were 2 grandsons who were also grafted into the code and the standards of one Jacob, who later became Israel, Yahasharael. People out here choosing their names instead of wearing their persona. You don't get to choose your name. It's what people call you because of what your natural tendencies are. What are your natural talents, and are you using them for the service of Yahweh Elohim? That's the question. Question of the day is, do I care when they get mad on how I play with their toys? That's the question of the day. Now, the question of lifetime. It's not about, oh, I got this name. I'm gonna ride with this name. Now, what are you doing with that name? What is your work? Because prayer is beyond what you think and what you say. It's what you are doing actively. I do not have a job because I work every day. I use my natural born talents to make sure that I am of service to Yahweh Elohim, meaning that I am a minister who does deliver the word to people. I'm here to let you know that we can develop our own public broadcasting system. We can govern ourselves because there's already a standard that we're supposed to use. What's your flag? My flag is whatever material I got on as a garment. That's my statement. What's your militia? All of those who know self-defense and can recite the fact that they're doing that because somebody else who is opposing them is trying to threaten them. What's your gross national product? Well, I'm trying to get away from all of those who are the number one consumers so that we can learn how to be producers and people will consume our product. Oh, now how you gonna do that? There's a program called STOP. Sustenance, textiles, occupations, purpose. If you are a student of Yahweh Elohim, it is in your best interest to be in the Black Book. There was a time when they had a telephone book where you could look up people in certain areas and call them and find out their locations. We don't have that anymore. Now you have Yelp. Now you got Google. Now you got Mozilla and Firefox and all of that. Is it Firefox? Somebody's Fox. Safari. I use Opera. I use Brave as search engines. Why? Well, number one, you can get an e-wallet with Opera as well as with Brave. And Brave automatically blocks ads. It's a very little trickle. However, that wallet will hold in increments what you earn as the ads are blocked. They encourage you to go on there and research. You're not going to get $100 in a month. You would have to be on there all day researching. Get at it. Find out how you can get paid to be an autodidact. Calveron, I see you. Mavis Knight, I see you. Akati, it's very tabah to have you here. Hashem Yahav Alahim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. Very tabah to have you here, Akati. Slightly lost subject, but at the same time, I'm trying to look up this information for the research. We're on here right now at this time because I don't trust my signal. It's been raining all day. Matter of fact, I was out earlier and the signal dropped. Just now returned. It should be strong signal. It's just the weather. That's what I was saying, is I don't trust it as far as having my electronic devices out like that. Right now it's just a light mist. So later on, I am going to check to see if there's going to be a real break. Otherwise, I'm going to go find a place to chill. Normally, yes, we get together 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to speak ethics and entrepreneurship. Recently, we've been studying Asher, Dan, and Naphtali. Today, we're going to look at Reuben. We're going through all 12. That 12 could possibly lead up to 14 because we know how the story goes. I'm interested in finding out what these patriarchs had to say. First, we find out what their means of income was and what they were doing for service. And then we find out how the patriarch felt, how that actual brother felt concerning his life, and then what he was wanting for his children and grandchildren. Not just wanting, however, also foreseeing their own activities. Because like I said, the day after Moses said, let's get across the sea of reeds to get away from Pharaoh, the day after, there were all kinds of people within the group still doing things not according to standard. I'm here to remind people of the day of Asher. A lot of things developed later on because of those same activities. Remember that pledge? Not gonna wash out the world again. Noah, you stood fast and you did what you were supposed to do from your descendants. I will keep the promise as long as somebody is still living by the standards. It is said that Abraham learned from Noah. Noah learned from Methuselah. Methuselah learned from all of those who learned from Seth. Seth learned from Adam. If Ibrahim was Melchizedek, it means that the order of Melchizedek is the order that was teaching the standards from Adam. And anyone who stepped outside of those standards, they were marked just as well as those who were righteous. Give me a moment. I'm looking up the link so we can do a review on Reuben. Learn something. This thing is quite literal. So even once I get into the actual site, there are certain titles that I have to type in order to get directly to the information. Otherwise, they're going to throw us all over the place. Basically, what I'm about to do is inquire on the topic of Reuben. And then it's going to give us a list of all the appearances in the Bible where it mentions Reuben. And yeah, it's going to tell us about the name and all of that, a couple of the activities. What we're looking for is the mercantile. And so after we scroll and review that, we're going to look at the testament according to Reuben when he spoke with his children and grandchildren prior to his death. Well, here we go. Hold on. Here we go. Just had to find an associated link. Let's go. Connie Linticum. Interesting name. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you. Reuben, topical encyclopedia. Reuben is a significant figure in the Bible, known as the firstborn son of Jacob and Leah. His life and actions are recorded primarily in the book of Genesis, and he is recognized as the progenitor of the tribe of Reuben, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, as I'm reading through this, I'm not going to be transcribing and translating every time it says tribe, because that's a smaller word that won't be necessarily in my focus. However, if I see Lord, you'll hear me say Adon. When it says Jesus, I will be saying Yahashafai. When it says God, I will be saying Yahweh, Elohim, Allah, Abba. Let's go. Birth and family background. Reuben was born to Jacob and Leah as recorded in Genesis chapter 29, verse 32. Leah conceived and bore a son, and she named him Reuben, for she said, Adon has seen my affliction. Surely my husband will love me now. His name, Reuben, is derived from the Hebrew words Ra'ah, to see, and Ben, son, reflecting Leah's hope that Jacob would now show her greater affection. Forever Gift Shop, I see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Silky? Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Role in the family. As the firstborn, Reuben held a position of prominence and responsibility within Jacob's family. However, his actions often undermined his status. One of the most notable incidents involving Reuben is his attempt to save his brother Joseph from being killed by his other brothers. In Genesis chapter 37, verses 21 through 22, Reuben intervened, saying, "Let us not take his life. Do not shed his blood. Throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him." His intention was to rescue Joseph later and return him to their father. Moral fallings. Reuben's moral fallings or failings are highlighted in Genesis chapter 35, verse 22, where he is said to have slept with Bilhah, his father's concubine. The act of defiance and disrespect had significant consequences for Reuben's standing in the family. Jacob, on his deathbed, addressed this transgression in Genesis chapter 49, verses 3 through 4. "Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, excelling in honor, excelling in power, uncontrolled as the waters. You will no longer excel because you went up to your father's bed, onto my couch, and defiled it." Tribe of Reuben, clan of Reuben, family of Reuben. The family of Reuben settled on the eastern side of the Jordan River, as described in Numbers chapter 32. They, along with the tribes of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh, requested this land because it was suitable for their livestock. Moses granted their request on the condition that they assist the other tribes in conquering the land west of Jordan. They were shepherds. They had livestock. Legacy. Reuben's legacy is a complex one, marked by both his initial promise as the firstborn and his subsequent moral failings. His tribe played a role in the early history of Israel, Yahashrael, though it did not achieve the prominence of some of the other clans. Despite his shortcomings, Reuben's account serves as a reminder of the importance of integrity and the consequences of one's actions. And then from there, it has the library, which starts showing the references. My suggestion to you is go visit Bible Hub. You can go and get whoever's translation, but if you don't know the context and what's going on in the culture, it's not doing you any good. You can read he said, she said, they said, and went and begot. But if you don't know the how or the why and what happened later, it won't do you any good. Scroll through the list of the references. Come across this. Testament of the 12 Patriarchs. BibleHub.com. 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 This particular list is talking about the Pseudepigrapha of William John Dean. The explanation of the assembly of the 12 testaments of the patriarchs. And then in this, it's telling us all about who, how, where, and when, and how William Dean gathered his information and all of that. We've only gone 24 minutes into the hour, so how about we read that, and then we go back and we actually read the Testament of Reuben. Silent Killer WZ, I see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. King Raj. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. I cannot get that out. Pseudoepigrapha. William John Dean. The work thus named has a special interest for Englishmen, as having been first made known in this country in the middle of the 13th century by the celebrated Gracetest of Greathead, Bishop of Lincoln, who, with the aid of a clerk of St. Albans, translated it from Greek into Latin. They went from Mycenaean tongue back to Farsi. Interesting. It had been brought to his notice by one John de Basingstrokes, Archdeacon of Leicester, who, while studying at Athens, had lighted upon this treatise and thought so highly of it that he induced the bishop to obtain a copy of it from Greece. The credulous Matthew Paris, who supplies these particulars, asserts roundly that the document formed part of the sacred canon, but had been suppressed by the Jews on account of the evident prophecies of Christ contained therein. This, of course, is a mistake. What is certain is that it was well known in the early church, was honored and quoted by early Christian writers, and was named in some catalogs of sacred books. In the synopsis of sacred scripture, which is found among the writings of Athanasius, it is mentioned as one of the Apocrypha in conjunction with the book of Enoch, the Assumption of Moses, and some others. And it referred to it in Stichometria of Nicephorus of Constantinople. It is also probably named in the acts of one or two minor councils held in Rome and Spain in the 5th and 6th centuries. But there is no doubt that the Tertullian and Origen knew and quoted the book. Thus, the former writes, "For to my mind Paul was promised even in Genesis. Among the tropes and prophetical benedictions on his sons, Jacob, turning to Benjamin, said, Benjamin, a ravening wolf in the morning shall devour, and in the evening shall give victual. For he foresaw that from the tribe of Benjamin would someday arise Paul, a ravening wolf in the morning devouring, that is, at first laying waste the Lord's flock, as a persecutor of the church, and afterwards giving victual at evening, that is, as time declined, feeding the sheep of Christ as the teacher of the nations." This is evidently a reproduction of the idea of a passage in the Testaments where Benjamin thus addresses his children: "I shall no longer be called a ravening wolf on account of your ravages, but a worker of Adon, distributing food to them that work what is Tabah. And one shall rise up from my seed in the latter times, beloved of Adon, hearing his voice, enlightening with new knowledge all the Gentiles, bursting it in upon Israel for salvation with the life of knowledge, with the light of knowledge, tearing it away from it like a wolf, and giving it to the synagogue of the Gentiles. And until the consummation of the ages shall he be in the synagogue of the Gentiles and among their rulers as a strain of music in the mouth of all. And he shall be inscribed in the holy books, both his work and his word, and he shall be a chosen one of Yahweh Elohim forever. And because of him, my father Jacob instructed me, saying, He shall up that which lacketh of thy tribe. He shall fill up that which lacketh of thy tribe." Similarly, in another place, Tertullian says, Paul, from a persecutor becoming an apostle, who first shed the blood of the church, and afterwards changing his sword for a pen and turning his falchion into a plow, even Benjamin, a ravening wolf, then himself bringing victual, according to Jacob, he commanded martyrdom and what he deems desirable. Origen cites the book by name. Nay, he says, but in a certain little book which is called the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, although it is not contained in the canon, we find the thought that by individual sinners we ought to understand individual Satans. This idea occurs in the Testament of Reuben, chapters 2 and 3, reference, who warns his sons that all, or actually sections, or it says chapters 2 and 3, even though it's a long script, it's sections that are like maybe 4 paragraphs. Some of them just 1 paragraph. They're saying those sections are chapters. Let me get back. This idea occurs in the Testament of Reuben, chapters 2 and 3, who warns his sons that all sins are the embodiment of the 7 spirits of evil which he specifies. There is possibly, too, an allusion to our work in Jerome, who writes, "And if so it please you, you may find the fictitious revelations of all the patriarchs and prophets, and when you have studied them, go and sing in the women's weaving shops. It is possible that the notion of Christ's descent from the clans of Levi and Judah, found first in Irenaeus, may have been derived from our book, where it occurs frequently. The passage alluded to it is found in Iren, I-R-E-N .fragm. This is a reference, edited by someone named Harvey, and may be an illustration, or it may be in the prefix. It's got the little 2 small eyes, then it says 487. So in this particular book that they're referring to, not the Testament of Benjamin and all of that, but where they're getting the information from the history. I'm looking at where it's showing parentheses and showing the references for the names of the people who wrote articles, the page, or possibly even the date. Repamp, I saw you when you came in. Repamp Herbal Center. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. Right now, we're reading through an article that's discussing a written report by William Dean concerning the validity and the use of the 12 testaments of the patriarchs, the 12 sons of Yahashariah, the fathers of the clans. From them Christ was foreshadowed and acknowledged and born. For in Joseph he was foreshadowed, from Levi and Judah he was born according to the flesh as king and priest, and through Simeon he was acknowledged in the temple. These are nearly all the references to the book which occur. For many centuries it fell completely out of sight, and indeed nothing was heard of it till, as mentioned above, the Bishop of Lincoln took it in hand. But the Greek text did not profit by the invention of printing in its early stage, nor was it till quite the end of the 17th century that it was published in an available form. In 1698, Grabe printed the Greek text entire in his Specialigium Patrum et Hereticorum from a MS. I don't know what the MS is. Couldn't tell you. Left to the University Library of Cambridge by Archbishop Parker, and containing the prelate's autograph. So, all of that being said, there was a document signed and sealed by an archbishop. That's where all the information is coming from. This is probably the original from which Grosseteste's version was made. It was reprinted by Fabricius in his Codex Pseudepigraphus and by Galandi in the first volume of the Bibliotheca Veterum Patrum, and later by Migne in his Petrologia Graecia. There is only one other Greek MS of the Testaments existing in England. See, that MS is their embodiment of the Bibliotheca, the Bible, their compendium of Holy Scriptures. This MS that keeps coming up. There's only one other Greek MS of the Testaments existing. Well, that MS is an example. That's what we'll call it. It's an example. A solid copy form is the MS. Some sort of codex, basically. There's only one other Greek MS of the Testaments existing in England, and that is one in Bodleian Library at Oxford, a paper quarto of the 14th century, presented to the university by its then chancellor, the Earl of Pembroke, in 1629. Quite later, two other MSS have been examined, one in the Vatican Library of the 13th century and one in a monastery at Patmos belonging to the 16th century, which has been noticed by Tischendorf. A careful collation of these MSS and of some transcripts made from them has been published by the Reverend Robert Sinker, and in his hands the text has assumed as great an accuracy as is likely to be attained till other aids are supplied from continental sources. Of versions specifically or especially in the Latin language, there are numerous specimens. Mr. Sinker mentions no less than 40 MSS of the Latin version, and numerous published editions dating from 1510 through 1520. The work has been translated into most modern languages, including French, German, Dutch, Icelandic, etc. The first English version was printed by John Day in 1577, long before the Greek text was published, the earliest Latin translation having appeared some 60 years previously. This English edition was the work of A.G., the initials probably of Arthur Golding, and was continually reproduced in subsequent years. Another version, rendered from the text of Grabe and Fabricius, was put forth by W. Whitson in his collection of authentical records belonging to the Old and N Testaments, Old and New. Now it's 1727. Of late years, a new version has appeared in the second volume of Clark's Ante-Nicene Christian Library. This translation is the work of Mr. Sinker. Samea Larray, I see you. It's very tabah to have you here. Familiar name and face. Hashem Yahweh Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings and mercy be upon you. Right now, we are reading a document from someone who is, what's the word when you're saying, okay, I support this. He's validating the testaments of the 12 patriarchs. He is validating the fact that there was a statement given by each patriarch, each father of each clan, who were the children of Yahasharael. They gave a statement to their children and their grandchildren prior to their death. This is validating all 12 of the documents. We've gone through Asher, we've gone through Dan, we've gone through Naphtali. Today we're going to focus on Reuben. I came across this and wanted to share it with you, and then we're going to go into the Testament. Mighty funny, they have a breakdown, Old Testament, New Testament. There's only one Testament. The language of the original work was certainly Greek. That is, the writing which we now possess is probably that which came from the hand of the author. It is at the same time quite possible that a Hebrew document may have existed on which the present was more or less based. But of this no trace has ever been found, nor does the present writing bear any of the characteristics of a version, though it is thoroughly impregnated with Hebrew thought. In it we find an employment of the Septuagint, and there are certain paronomasias which could not have been derived from a Hebrew original, and many expressions which appertain to Greek philosophy and have no equivalent in the Hebrew. We may conclude that the work as we have it is essentially Greek and can be traced to no other source. Having thus sketched the literary history of the Testaments, we may next glance at its contents, and shall then be able to consider its origin and date, and to mention some of the features most noteworthy in points of history and doctrine. The name indicates the nature of the treatise. The 12 sons of Jacob herein give their final instructions to their children, with the account more or less extended of their lives, wherein are often contained facts not found in the canonical scriptures. They combine moral injunctions for the guidance of their descendants, forecast of future backslidings, and revelations concerning the coming of Messiah's kingdom, which shall triumph over sin and bring universal peace and happiness. Thus, in each section, 3 elements are distinguishable: Haggadian history, appropriate exhortations, and predictions of the future. Each testament is supposed to embrace some chief topic, more or less apposite, 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 to the particular patriarch's life and character. Apposite. Now, are they talking apostolic, or are they talking opposition? Mr. Morrell, I see you. You may have jumped out and jumped back in because of signal. I know how it goes. Hashem Yehav Elohim Shalom Barak. Father's peace be with you. Thus, that of Reuben is concerning thoughts, Simeon concerning envy, Levi concerning priesthood and arrogance, and so on through the whole 12. But let us take the sections in the order in which they occur, and give a short statement of the subjects contained in each testament. Further details will be presented when we come to analyze these contents. Reuben, concerning thoughts. Reuben, before he died in the 125th year of his life, 2 years after Joseph's death, gathering his children and grandchildren around him, gives his last instructions. He confesses his great sin and urges them to avoid his error, for which he had been sorely punished. Man has 7 spirits given him wherewith to carry on his work in the world. Vis-a-vis, there's life, sight, hearing, smell, taste, speech, reproduction, and an 8th, sleep. With these, Beliar, Satan, has intermingled 7 spirits of error, which are these: fornication, greediness, fighting, fraud, arrogance, lying, injustice, and sleep, which belongs to both classes. In forcible language, the patriarch denounces fornication. Women from the first have been seducers. They caused the fall of the watchers, egregori, before the flood. It behooves men to be wary in their converse with them. He ends by commanding his children to give heed to Levi, to whom with Judah is entrusted the chieftainship. For Levi shall know the land of the Lord, and shall judge Yahashariah and offer sacrifices, until the consummation of times of Christ, the high priest, whom the Lord hath declared. I want to go back and review something. Silver Wordsmith, I see you. Familiar name, familiar face. It's very tabah to have you here. Hashem Yehav Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, you're not pulling in this stall, honey. In forcible language, the patriarch denounces fornication. Women from the first have been seducers. They caused the fall of the watchers before the flood. Now, this is coming from Reuben. Women from the first have been seducers. It's the blame game. Now, just because a person said it does not make it right, does not make it true. Definitely doesn't make it righteous, definitely does not make it halal. Yahweh Elohim, subhanahu wa ta'ala, did not give us a helpmeet in order for her to seduce us and cause trouble. In order for a person to get into trouble any kind of way, they have to make a decision. You got to think about it. Whether it's for a half a second, or if it's for 5 minutes, or if it's for a lifetime. You can't blame somebody else for seducing you, because it has to be a thought in your mind that you want to have some kind of intimate relationship with a person. People don't just fall out of the sky all of a sudden and just bloop, fall in your lap and boom, then they're gone and you consummated a baby. No. You have to have some kind of interaction. It takes both. There's no blame game. Sheila, I see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. So that was the summary of Reuben. And we're still going to actually read the actual testament according to Reuben. We're going through doing the review now, because when I pulled this up and I saw it, I was like, okay, let's see what this guy is talking about, right? Because those testaments, those were all translations. That was assembled by someone. Right now, I'm reading through the archives on Bible Hub where this information was found. I've also noticed that, yes, those same 12 testaments can also be found in Apocrypha. If you know anything about Enoch, if you know anything about the story of Adam and Eve, if you know about Yasher, apparently you can find those 12 testaments there too. We're going to take a little short moment while this person is pressurizing their tires, and then we'll move forward. We're going to take however long it needs to take, because I do want to finish this article, and I do want to finish reading about the testament of Reuben to his children and grandchildren. Adon willing, we'll take all the time that's necessary. If you ain't going nowhere, I ain't going nowhere. I'm at work. No, I ain't got no job, because I work daily. They ask me if I'm homeless. Tell them the Son of Man has no home, because we're still waiting for the city that's called Yahweh is there. And who tends that city? The order of Melchizedek. Find it in Ezekiel. Find it in Chronicles. Find it in Kings. Find it in Psalms. 150 priests want to tell you yes, and then one comes along and tells you no, that is not the standard. Y'all want to keep on arguing about how to pronounce a name, or if you get to wear that name, if you're a descendant from that name, if you're going to be called and grafted in. The only way to prove it is to actually be thankful for the talents that were given to you upon your birth. When you were born into this world, It is up to you to make the decision to start using those talents to serve Yahweh Elohim within the kingdom. Oh, but he coming back again soon. The Messiah coming back again. He's not coming back until he has a kingdom to come home to. Because he wasn't the first one to tell you the Son of Man has no home. Matter of fact, people put him out of his home. Put him out of his life while walking this dirt. So he had to go back to his real home. The Emerald Throne. And sit at the right hand of our Creator. Y'all run around here giving all kinds of wrong information. We got real work to do. The righteous message of Yahweh Elohim is supposed to be spread across the world. That doesn't mean that we're supposed to convert 100% people. And it definitely doesn't mean that we're supposed to be showing sloppy work to 100% of the people. My supplies are running low because I don't even have more than 5 people who actually will show me some support. I give thanks steadily for those who actually do help me out. Putting a like on my video doesn't feed me. It doesn't power my phone. Sharing my video doesn't feed me. Doesn't pay my phone bill. Call me. Ask me to make a song for you. Ask me to make a video for you. Ask me to promote you. Ask me to tutor you. Ask me for some consultation. You don't have to have a button-up shirt and a collar to earn a degree.
Associate, business, administration.
And that's after learning a whole bunch of IT, information technology. Yes, I've been to IT Tech and several other different campuses. You wonder how I do what I do? No, they didn't show me how to do the video editing part. They didn't show me how to do all the uploading and everything else. Matter of fact, they didn't show me much. They gave me reviews because I'd already went out and learned it. I just had to go and get some kind of certification to prove it. Because most people want to see some kind of plaque on the wall. Nomad Studio. You want to see a plaque on the wall? Flip through the videos and see how many times I've posted up something about a copyright. Vision, purpose, and value. Property of Kofi Ofori, SOC. Published with the permission of Kofi Devin Ofori. Through Terrence Thomas, Highest Heights Studio. Vision, purpose, value. It's copyrighted. It's protected. It's not just some words. That actually is a lifestyle. You need to have a vision in order to even figure out what you're going to do with your value and your purpose. Highest Heights Studio is a trust, a fraternal trust, as an umbrella for many different special interest groups. That's why we get together and speak about 10. I don't just come in front of you and talk about Highest Heights Studio and the interest of Highest Heights Studio. There's Mafia Soy Publications. There's Community Development, also known as SOC. However, the problem is, be there 100, 200, 400, or if there's just 10, I'm gonna say it, I don't hear from SOC. I work for Yahweh Elohim, and I've been in service with SOC for about 4 years. I don't hear from you. I put your hashtags in there so you can see the information. I don't hear from you. I've got my number available. You can call me anytime I don't hear from you. You can reach into my DMs at any time and say, hey, how you doing? I like your ideas. Can you help me with one? I ain't heard from you. My people perish for lack of knowledge. And applied knowledge is power. I've been training since before I was 2 years old. You want to talk about your armor and your sword and all of that of righteousness? You want to talk about picking up and leaving with nothing but the clothes on your back? Finding a battle buddy and walking the divine path? You want to talk about wiping the dust from your feet at a house that did not accept the true message? Leave their dust on their doormat and walk away. Now that they're done pressurizing the tires, we can get back to what's really going on. Overcomer 1962, Kimberly Ross, Sheila, Asif, Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom At Barak, Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon all of you. Simeon, concerning envy. He was fierce and unfeeling, and the most inimical to Joseph of all the brethren. But Joseph bore no malice. His example should be followed, and brotherly love cherished. The writing of Enoch foretold that the Simeonites should corrupt themselves and attempt to injure Levi, but they shall not prevail. If they repent, they shall flourish and blossom like the rose. The Canaanites, Philistines, the Cappadocs, and the Hittites shall perish. Peace shall be established. Shem shall be glorified, because Messiah shall come. Obey Levi, he concluded, and in Judah you shall be redeemed. For these two tribes, clans, salvation shall arise. From these two clans, salvation shall arise. The example of Judah, Yechavadah, and Levi. The Levites. Here's the thing though, you gotta watch out when you say the Levites are gonna be your savior. A whole bunch of Levites went the wrong way. There were only a few who went the correct way. They became the high priests. Not just any Levite can be a high priest. That's a different order. The Levites were priests in training because there was already an order of priests before Levi was born. Write that down in your notebook. Melchizedek was here before Levi was born, before he was birthed, before he was conceived. There was already a way defined. Ibrahim broke the statues that his father Terah had made because he had been studying with the order of Melchizedek. We're not supposed to have statues, wood or stone. We're not supposed to be trying to draw up something in our mind to think of as a deity. There is only one. Levi, concerning priesthood and arrogance. This is the most important of all the testaments, professing to tell all that shall happen to the tribe, clan, till the day of judgment. Other patriarchs indulge freely in moral and religious warnings. Here the apocalyptic element is much more conspicuous. Levi narrates how Adon showed him two visions. First, of the heavens, 7 in number, which he was privileged to see, because he was appointed to minister in sacred things, and to announce the coming of him who was to redeem Yahasharael. It was at this time that he was enjoined to take vengeance on the Shechemites. In the second vision, he is invested by 7 angels with the insignia of the priesthood. The first angel presents him with the holy oil and the rod of judgment. The second washed him with pure water and gave him bread and wine, the Holy of Holies, and clothed him in glorious clothes, glorious robes. The third imbued him with a linen ephod. The fourth with a purple girdle. The fifth gave him an olive branch. The sixth put a crown on his head. The seventh gave him a diadem and incense. And it was announced that his seed should be divided into 3 powers, which are obscurely explained. Jacob, knowing by revelation the office of Levi, taught him much lore concerning sacrifice, tithe, first fruits, etc. He foretells the rejection of the Messiah and the consequent dispersion of the nation. Levi then sketches his own family history, mentioning among other facts that Amram married his daughter Jochebed. He deduces from the prophecy of Enoch that the active iniquity of the people will last 70 weeks, and their punishment shall continue until he himself shall again visit you, and pitying shall receive you in faith and water. Judah, Yehoiada, concerning fortitude, avarice, and fornication. You hear me saying Yehoiada? Because there ain't no Jew in the name. If they replaced Yod with a J, then you got to look at what Yod is. There is no U in Proto-Canaan. That's a dialect that was picked up by the Farsi tongue. Then later the Mycenaeans incorporated it with their tongue because they couldn't pronounce Proto-Canaan. There is no U. It wouldn't have been called Judah. Yod is not the letter, is not the character. It's Yehoiada. The name is all in it. That's why they took it out. That's why they replaced it. Take all of it out and have everybody using the wrong name. And then looking at you like you crazy when you tell them, no, I don't do that. Yehoiada is the name. That's the Shem. Because it's not Yod. It's Yehoiada. Concerning fortitude, avarice, and fornication. He was keen and bold when young, loving and obedient to his parents, and won the favor of Adon. His heroic deeds were recounted, many details being given which are not found in Scripture. He urges his children to avoid drunkenness and uncleanness, sins of which he had been guilty in the matter of Tamar, and covetousness, which is pernicious. Love you, Levi, he enjoins, that you may live long. To me, Adon has given the kingdom, and to him the priesthood. And he has subjected the kingdom to the priesthood. On me he bestowed things of earth, on him things of heaven. For as the heaven is above the earth, so is the priesthood above every earthly kingdom. And Adon has chosen him above you to come near to him, and to eat of his table and the first fruits of the dainties of the children of Yahasharael. He predicts wars and commotions which shall last till Messiah comes. After this, the patriarchs shall rise again, and they that suffered on earth shall be recompensed by a happy life. The trucker's wife, I see you. Familiar name and face. It's very tabah to have you here. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. Issachar, concerning simplicity. He begins by narrating the story of the mandrakes, amplifying the briefer account of a certain section in Genesis, and then sketches his own character and life. He was a husbandman, simple, quiet, industrious, faithful, scrupulous in payment of tithes and offerings. He enjoins his sons to practice agriculture and to be simple in their lives, so that Belair may not seduce them to luxury and irreligion. A husbandman. So not only was he a shepherd and he kept livestock, they were the ones to make sure that the livestock stayed fertile. They watched after the animals to make sure everybody was healthy and they could actually produce children, or not children, offspring. Animals produce offspring, people produce children. All right. A husbandman, Issachar, told his children to work with agriculture. There is a whole lot going on after I read these summaries about each one of the patriarchs, and I'm not going to read all that. I'm going to finish reading what's going on with the patriarchs, and then we're going over to the testament of Reuben. Don't want to hold you for too long. It has been 2 hours now. We're at the top of the hour. Now, I'm starting to wonder about a few things. Oh yeah, that's right. We started early, so I was like, it's saying that it's time now. This is the normal time that we would usually be on. We would start now, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that gave me a little confusion when I was looking at the clock. Be Hadasai Yahawah. Familiar name and face. It's very tabah to have you here. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you. We're discussing a short summary of the different patriarchs, and then we're going to go directly into the testament of Reuben to his children and grandchildren shortly before his death. Zebulun, concerning compassion and mercy. This patriarch asserts that he has no sin to recall, but that against his father, when he connived with his brethren in concealing from him the fate of Joseph, though he grieved bitterly for it. He gives a long account of the transaction, and as a lesson from this incident, urges his sons to be kind and merciful, not only to brethren, but even to irrational animals, remembering that as a man deals with his neighbors, so Adon will deal with him. He was the first to make a boat and go fishing, and with the produce to feed the poor. He admonishes concerning the duty of forgiveness of injuries and love and unity, and he concludes by predicting the evils which dissension and unbelief will bring upon them, and which will only be terminated when Adon, the light of righteousness, shall himself appear among them, and he, Zebulun, should someday rise again. Dan, concerning anger and lying. He had tried all his life long to avoid anger and lying, and to appease Yahweh Elohim, but was guilty of envy and malice in the case of Joseph. Yasav. Let his sons beware of these sins, or they will bring on themselves destruction. In the last days, he knows that they will oppose Levi and Judah, Yehovadah, and be grievously punished for it. But a time will come when from these clans the salvation of Adon will arise, and wage victorious war against Beliar. And the saints shall rest in Eden, and the righteous shall rejoice in the new Jerusalem, which shall be unto the glory of Yahweh Elohim forever and ever. Therefore, draw you nigh to Yahweh Elohim and to the angel that intercedes for you, to Paratomino Humas. For he is the mediator between Yahweh Elohim and man for the peace of Yahashua. They got me reading all kinds of Latin. Time to leave the land. It's very tabah to have you here, Ak. Hashem Yahweh Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. The Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you. Naphtali, concerning natural lawfulness. He was the son of Bilhah, a daughter of Rutheus, brother of Deborah, Rebekah's nurse. Rutheus himself was a Chaldean of Abraham's kindred, a worshiper of Yahweh Elohim, who had been carried away as a captive and bought by Laban. Naphtali, being remarkably active, was his father's messenger. When 40 years old, he saw a vision on the Mount of Olives towards the east of Jerusalem. The sun and moon stood still. Isaac called his sons to run and seize them. Levi laid hold of the sun, Yehovadah of the moon, and both were raised aloft with them. Levi received 12 palm branches. Yehovadah had 12 raised beneath his feet. Then appeared a bull with 2 horns, and on its back the wings of an eagle. All tried to seize it, but Joseph alone was successful and was carried up on high. And the holy writing came in sight, which spake of the captivity of Yahasharael. In a second vision, Naphtali sees Jacob and his sons standing by the sea of Jamnia. And lo, a ship appeared full of dried fish, or dried flesh, inscribed, the ship of Jacob, but without a crew or a pilot. Jacob and his sons embark. A tempest arises and carries away the father. The ship is almost engulfed and finally dashed to pieces. Levi prays, and the 12 are saved on pieces of wreck, and reaching home, find their father safe and sound. The usual prediction of concerning the punishment of sinners and the advent of Messiah closes the testament. Gad, concerning hatred. He boasts of his courage in defending the flocks from wild beasts, and tells how he was incensed with Joseph for repeating to his father the evil deeds of the brethren, and desired his death. He and Yehovadah sold him for 30 pieces of gold, but kept 10 for themselves, concealing the real amount received. He confesses his sorrow for this sin, and urges his children to beware of hatred and covetousness, on which subjects he dilates at considerable length. For he says, as love wishes even to revive the dead, and to recall those who are sentenced to death, so hatred would like to slay the living, and desires the destruction even of those who have but little erred. The spirit of hatred by reason of faint-heartedness, Holy Ghost, Suchias. That's Mycenaean. That is not Farsi. Hastiness of spirit. Cooperate with Satan in all things to the death of men. But the spirit of love cooperates with the law of Yahweh Elohim to men's salvation. As the other patriarchs, he enjoins his sons to honor Yehovadah and Levi, because from them Adon shall rise up a savior for Yahasharael. Asher, concerning 2 faces of vice and virtue. He begins in much the same way as the Didasha. 2 ways has Yahweh Elohim given to the sons of men. And he proceeds in words which recall the dictum of Ben Sira. All things are 2, one over against the other. there are two ways of lawfulness and evil, and withal two counsels in our breasts distinguishing these paths. He admonishes his sons to be single-minded and not to wear two faces. And he gives various examples of double-mindedness and shows how hateful such a character is in Yahweh Elohim's eyes. He terminates his advice by uttering the warnings and predictions in the same strain as his predecessors. Rhymes, I see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. Joseph Yassav on moderation. He recounts his life, summing it up first almost in the words of Injil. They have gospel here. The word is Injil, the story of the lineage. Matthew something or other. They're saying around 25. Matthew 25. I was an hungered, etc. And then narrating the circumstances twice over at much length, with the addition of many legendary particulars. See, then, my children, he continues, how much may be affected by patience and prayer with fasting. For Yahweh Elohim loves sobriety and always helps the continent and self-controlling. He tells of a vision which he saw. There arose in Yehovah a virgin, clad in a linen robe, and from her came forth a lamb unspotted. And on his left there was, as it were, a lion. Against him all the beasts of the earth were contended, but prevailed nothing. And the lamb trode them underfoot, to the great joy of angels and men. Do you, my sons, observe the commandments of the Lord, and honor Yehovah and Levi, for from out of them shall arise the Lamb of Yahweh Elohim, by grace saving all the nations and Israel. Benjamin. I'm going to close it with this one. Concerning a pure mind. Benjamin tells that his mother Rachel was 12 years barren, and then, fasting and praying for 12 days, she conceived, and in due time bore him, and he was therefore called Benjamin, son of days. He gives much good advice, Tabal, lawful, holy. He gives much lawful advice concerning the directions of the thoughts and simplicity of heart and rectitude of conduct. In the course of his admonition, he recounts the prophecy of Jacob. In you shall be fulfilled the prophecy of heaven touching the Lamb of Yahweh Elohim and the Savior of the world. For he, the undefiled, Amomos. Yeah, they're using Mycenaean terms. These are not Farsi. The undefiled shall be delivered up in behalf of sinners, and he, the sinless, shall die for the impious. Impious. Instead of being pious, impious. By the blood of the covenant, for the salvation of Gentiles and Yahashua, and shall destroy Baliar and his servants. There is much that is beautiful and edifying in this testament. Here is a thought with which we are all familiar, though we scarcely expected to meet it here. As the sun, shining on what is filthy and noxious, is not defiled thereby, but rather purifies it and removes its ill savor, so the pure mind, mingling amid the pollutions of earth, dwells safely there and suffers no defilement. Now, let's be clear. If you have something that smells funny, if you put it out in the sun, the wind and the heat will carry away the smell. However, you're still going to have to wash it to get rid of what is producing the smell. The soil and the bacteria is still there. Sunlight by itself is not going to cleanse anything. You being on a earth, on a planet called Earth, and there's filthy people around you, you're not going to be saved by sunlight. You're not going to be claimed saying, oh, well, I claim the name of the Most High. In order to claim anything, you need to be active with the talents that were given to you. When people tell you, oh, you can be in the system, yet not of it. No, you can't. You can be within the standards of Yahweh Elohim and watch everything else wilt around you, because there really is no other system or standard other than what goes on with what is said by Yahweh Elohim. Anything else is anti that. Anything that is anti is an oppressor. Anything that is an oppressor is my enemy, and my enemy shall fall. Such in brief are the contents of our book. We must glance at the writer of writers and attempt to estimate the date of the production. We're going to close that part because I want to get to the testament of Reuben. Pseudepigrapha. Now with this one, instead of me trying to dig around and find it, I shared the links on Facebook. So I'm going to go to the link that I shared on Facebook in order for me to open it up. That's what it's there for. Write that down in your handy dandy little notebook. When I share a link, go check it out. There's some information. I don't just share stuff for you to go ha ha ha. It's to make you think. Do you know what the word Selah means? Do you know where to find it? Go read through Psalms. See how many times you see it say Selah. Selah. Stop and think about it. Change your ways if necessary. Here we go. I know it's backwards. I just want you to know what to look for. The Testament of Reuben concerning thoughts. Section 1. The copy of the Testament of Reuben, what things he charged his sons before he died in the 125th year of his life. When he was sick 2 years after the death of Joseph, his sons and his sons' sons were gathered together to visit him. And he said to them, My children, I am dying, and go the way of my fathers. And when he saw there Jehoiada and God and Asher, his brethren, he said to them, Raise me up, my brethren, that I may tell to my brethren and to my children what things I have hidden in my heart. For from henceforth my strength fails me. And he arose and kissed him and said, weeping, Hear, my brethren, give ear to Reuben your father what things I command you. And behold, I call to witness against you this day, Yahweh Elohim of heaven, that you walk not in the ignorance of youth and fornication wherein I ran greedily, and I defiled the bed of Jacob my father. For I tell you that he smote me with a sore plague in my loins for 7 months. And had not Jacob our father prayed for me till Adon, surely Adon would have destroyed me. For I was 32 years old when I did this evil in the sight of the Lord, and for 7 months I was sick, even to death. And I repented for 7 years in the set purpose of my soul before Adon. Wine and strong drink I drank not, and flesh entered not into my mouth, and I tasted not pleasant food, mourning over my sin, for it was great, and it shall not so be done in Yahasharayah. Section 2. And now hear me, my children, what things I saw in my repentance concerning the 7 spirits of error. 7 spirits are given against man from Beliar, and they are chief of the works of youth. And 7 spirits are given to him at his creation, that in them should be done every work of man. The first spirit is of life, with which man's whole being is created. The second spirit is of sight, with which arises desire. The third spirit is of hearing, with which comes teaching. The fourth spirit is smelling, with which taste is given to draw air and breath. The fifth spirit is speech, which comes knowledge. The sixth spirit is taste, with which comes the eating of meats and drinks, and by them strength is produced, for in food is the foundation of strength. The seventh spirit is of begetting and sexual intercourse, with which through love of pleasure sin also enters in. Wherefore it is the last in order of creation and the first of youth, because it is filled with ignorance, which leads the young as a blind man to a pit, and as cattle to a precipice. What's a precipice? Gonna run off a cliff. A deep valley that you don't expect to see. Section 3. Besides all these, there is an 8th spirit of sleep, with which is created entrancement of man's nature and the image of death. With these spirits are mingled the spirits of error. The first, the spirit of fornication, dwells in the nature and in the senses. The second spirit of insatiatedness, in the belly. The third spirit of fighting in the liver and the gall. The fourth is the spirit of fawning and trickery, that through over officiousness a man may be fair in seeming. The fifth is the spirit of arrogance, that a man may be stirred up and become high-minded. The sixth is the spirit of lying, in perdition and in jealousy, to feign words, and to conceal words from kindred and friends. The seventh is the spirit of injustice, with which are theft and pilferings, that a man may work the desire of his heart, for injustice works together with the other spirits by means of craft. Besides all these, the spirit of sleep, the 8th spirit, is conjoined with error and fantasy, and so perishes every young man, darkening his mind from the truth, and not understanding the law of Yahweh Elohim, nor obeying the admonitions of his fathers, as befell me also in my youth. And now, children, love the truth, and it shall preserve you. I counsel you, hear you, Reuben, your father. Pay no heed to the sight of a woman, nor yet associate privately with a female under the authority of a husband, nor meddle with affairs of womankind. For had I not seen Bilhah bathing in a covered place, I had not fallen into this great iniquity. For my mind, dwelling on the woman's nakedness, suffered me not to sleep until I had done the abominable deed. For while Jacob our father was absent with Isaac his father, when we were in Gader, near to Ephratah in Bethlehem, Bilhah was drunk, and lay asleep uncovered in her chamber. And when I went in and beheld her nakedness, I wrought with impiety. I wrought that impiety, and leaving her sleeping, I departed. And forthwith an angel of Yahweh Elohim revealed to my father Jacob concerning my impiety. And he came and mourned over me, and touched her no more. Section 4. Pay no heed, therefore, to the beauty of women, and muse not upon their doings, but walk in singleness of heart in the fear of Adon, and be laboring in works, and roaming in study, and among your flocks, until Adon give you to a wife whom he will, that you suffer not as I did. Until my father's death I had not boldness to look steadfastly into the face of Jacob, or to speak to any of my brethren, because of my reproach. And even until now my conscience afflicts me by reason of my sin. And my father comforted me, for he prayed for me unto Adon, that the anger of Adon might pass away from me, even as Adon showed me. From henceforth then I was protected, and I sinned not. Therefore, my children, observe all things whatsoever I command you, and you shall not sin. For fornication is the destruction of the soul, separating it from Yahweh Elohim, and bringing it near to idols, because it deceives the mind and understanding, and brings down young men into hell before their time. For many has fornication destroyed, because though a man be old or noble, it makes him a reproach and a laughing stock with Beliar and the sons of men. For in that Joseph, Yosef, kept himself from every woman, and purged his thoughts from all fornication, he found favor before Adon and men. For the Egyptian woman, Chematian woman, they weren't called Egyptians then. For the woman from Kemet did many things to him, and called for magicians, and offered him love potions, and the purpose of his soul admitted no evil desire. Therefore Yahweh Elohim of my fathers delivered him from every visible and hidden death. For if fornication overcome not the mind, neither shall Beliar overcome you. And I was correct when I mentioned, they use some Mycenaean terms. That was part of what the review was about, was that it leans more to a Mycenaean directive than it does what a Hebrew would say. I haven't seen anything that's really counter what someone who is of the family of Avra would say. I haven't seen anything really to counter that. Even this whole thing about fornication, this just opened up a whole thing right here saying that the lady was enjoying her privacy and security to the point of she relaxed and went to sleep. A young man came along and took advantage of her and did some things he ain't have no business doing all over the place, kind of go through the list of standards he'd be, no, you're not supposed to be doing. And then went on his way. The lady, the only reason she was involved is because she was physically there. Now, did the brothers of Benjamin go and deal with him? Reuben? The same way they dealt with the other guy who had actually made intentions with their sister? He was protected, first and foremost, by our Creator. And our Creator considered giving him protection because his own father prayed over him and said, please forgive him. I've sinned. Yahweh Elohim, you've forgiven me. Please forgive him like you forgive me. And I'm going to forgive him like you forgive me. There's a big misunderstanding about the practices in Islam concerning the ladies wearing hijab. You wear a hijab because that means that now you are under cover and protection by the hijab because that means that now you are under cover and protection by Shalom, Ak. Waiting for the camera to come back on. Well. You know, for some reason, they've reopened my live, but they won't allow me to do anything with it. I can't see you. It says that two of you are still in the room, the same two that have always been here. If you can hear me, can you text a comment? Because if you can, I will finish out this testament. You don't have to see me. I just need for you to be able to hear me. If you can hear me, please text a response. Tada, Kati. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to finish this. Halal Yahavalahim. Tada, Abba. What I was saying earlier is that covering is for protection against the men who have evil thoughts on their mind. You cannot condemn a woman for a man having ill thoughts in his mind. That's something that he needs to fix at home so that when he's out in public, he's not committing sin against himself on other people. Because to look at someone else thinking sexual thoughts or any kind of thoughts, no matter what it is, if you are thinking any kind of thoughts outside of standard, that's a sin, just thinking it. So the women are wearing the covering to protect themselves and to help out the men a little bit. In all truth, the men should have enough discipline to where they aren't going around ogling people anyway. It's rude, it's disrespectful, and if I see anybody doing that, they will be checked. All right, we're at section 5 now. Hurtful are women, my children, because since they have no power or strength over the man, they act subtly through outward guise, how they may draw him to themselves, and whom they cannot overcome by strength, him they overcome by craft. I see you, minister. Thank you for being here. They don't like it how I play with their toys. For moreover, the angel of Yahweh Elohim told me concerning them, and taught me that women are overcome by the spirit of fornication more than men, and they devise in their heart against men. And by means of their adornment they deceive first their minds, and instill the poison by the glance of their eye. And then they take them captive by their doings. For a woman cannot overcome a man by force. Therefore, flee fornication, my children, and command your wives and your daughters that they adorn not their heads and their faces, because every woman who acts deceitfully in these things has been reserved to everlasting punishment. For thus they allured the watchers before the flood, And as these continually beheld them, they fell into desire each of the other. And they conceived the act in their mind, and changed themselves into the shape of men, and appeared to them in their congress with their husbands. And the women, having in their minds desire toward their apparitions, gave birth to giants. For the watchers appeared to them as reaching even to heaven. Here's the thing. Once again, Reuben is trying to blame it on women and saying that they come from this and they come from that. When we were created, we all were created as spirits. Before we were conceived, all of us were created as spirits, all at the same time. Yahweh Elohim presented us to the angels in all of heaven and said, here's mankind. Fashioned one in the flesh so that they could see the whole model. You see all these spirits that are littered around heaven right now? Eventually they're going to be going to earth too, or wherever I send them in all of creation. We were made spirits way before this experience in life that we are going through right now. Those who live according to the standards of mankind have been tarnished, have been spoiled, have been dirtied. They don't understand the fact that the things that they are doing are very corrupt. Including one who would say, oh, it's the lady's fault that I can see her bosom. Well, no, you got eyes. What you doing with your eyes? Are you looking to make sure if she needs some help, or are you just trying to figure out what you're going to do to ravish her body? Between her and Adon, that body is not yours, so you can't be touching it, looking at it, nothing like that. The words are different, but it specifically says in here that Reuben told his children, don't just go running up on any woman. Don't just be thinking about any woman that you happen to see. And don't mess with any woman who's already married. It's there. The words are different, but it's there. Section 6. Beware, therefore, of fornication, and if you wish to be pure in your mind, guard your senses against every woman, and command them likewise not to company with men, that they also be pure in their mind. For constant meetings, even though the unlawful deed be not wrought, are to them an irremediable disease, and to us an everlasting reproach of Beliar. For fornication has neither understanding nor righteousness in itself, and all jealousy dwells in the desire thereof. Therefore you will be jealous against the sons of Levi, and will seek to be exalted over them, but you shall not be able. For Yahweh Elohim will work for their avenging, and you shall die by an evil death. For to Levi Adon gave sovereignty, and to Yehovadah Judah, and to me also with them, and to Dan and Joseph, Yasef, that we should be for rulers. Therefore I command you to hearken to Levi, because he shall know the law of Adon, and shall give ordinances for judgment and sacrifice for all Yahashua until the completion of the times of Christ and the high priest, whom the Lord hath declared. They say Christ, I say Hamashiach. I adjure you by Yahweh Elohim of heaven to work truth, each one with his neighbor, and draw you near to Levi in humbleness of heart, that you may receive a blessing from his mouth. For he shall bless Yahashrael, and especially Yehovadah, because him has Adon chosen to rule over all the people. And worship we his seed, because he shall die for us in wars visible and invisible, and shall be among you an everlasting king. Section 7. And Reuben died after that he had given command to his sons and they placed him in a coffin until they bore him up from Egypt and buried him in Hebron in the double cave where his fathers were. Kati Deborah, I see you. It's very to have you here. Familiar name and face. Hashem Yahav Alahim, Shalom Aparak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon everyone who has caught this message. I thank you for hanging out, even though you can't see my face right now. We've had an excellent discussion. We've actually gone on for about 3 hours. Today's discussion was about Reuben. What did Reuben do for Mercantile? Reuben was a husbandman. Not only did he do livestock, he looked out for the fertility of all of the different animals. Previously, we have discussed Naphtali, we have discussed Dan, we've discussed Asher. Next on the list is Simeon. So, Adon willing, we'll get together tomorrow. More than likely at the regularly scheduled time, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to discuss ethics in entrepreneurship. I thank you all for joining with me. We started over on this side because I'm experiencing a rain shower, and earlier today my signal went crazy, so I figured I needed to go ahead and post while I could. So we got it over here. We're normally going to be doing this on the YouTube because I need my second device in order to read from the information that I have researched. So I can't do a simultaneous broadcast. TikTok did not like it when I was doing that and going over an hour, because when you do the puzzle slide, I don't have to do that with Restream. They don't like how I play with their toys. It's kind of what's going on right now. Family, I want to thank you all for showing up. Yahava Ahaba. Our Father is love. When you see someone who needs help, don't stop and ask them what kind of help they need. If you see they need help and you've got it in you, go ahead and help them out. If you can't, but you know somebody who can, go grab that person, bring them to them immediately. Don't expect a thank you. We're not in it for that. People tell you that they bless you. No, they don't. All blessings come from Yahweh Elohim. We are mere vessels. You might decide in your mind, well, I don't want to go do something for somebody. Well, then you can wake up that next day, can't move one of your legs, and you still have to help that person. No, you're not blessing anybody. You were receiving your blessings the moment you were conceived and birthed into this world. You can't give a blessing. That is the office of Yahweh Elohim. You can't give peace. That belongs to Yahweh Elohim. All we can do is go about using our talents to help others, because that is the evidence that the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim is here, not nigh, not coming. It's here. If you took the pledge and you said there is no one else worthy of praising and worshiping except Yahweh Elohim, then your next step is to take steps doing work every moment of your life. And every time you accomplish a task, you say Tada Abba and go right back and do it again. Yes, sir, Minister Morrell. Khan, be of service. Yes, sir. That is compassion. Kindness is contagious. That is empathy. Go out and be the reason somebody else has a smile on their face because you helped somebody out when they didn't think nobody was going to be there for them. You hear somebody going down the street spitting, cussing, and fussing, yelling at the top of their lungs, walk with them. Be their shoulder, be their ear. Don't sit there and look down your nose on them. They might have been looking for somebody that showed them that, yeah, humanity does still exist. They might have been crying out to Yahweh, and they needed that actual seen person. They needed to see the evidence of Yahweh Elohim. Family, now they're telling me the live is about to be restricted. I don't care. No me importa. I love you, family. Mucho me gusto. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm going to jump off this line. You all know where to find me. Direct message, telephone. Find me on Discord. Look up 3PROJH. Find me on Discord. Find me on YouTube. If you got a favorite social media platform, you probably can find me there. Many much love and respect to all of you. Ametaba, Ametofo. That means compassion in both Chinese and Japanese. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. My Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon all of you. Allahu assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Until next time, many much love and respect.